Hi, I would like to welcome you to this informational presentation on using uiZ. We will be looking at a few main points. Why was it made? That leads us to the basic idea behind uiZ, and from there we'll go to the feature rundown, and I would like to end with what uiZ is not. Why was it made? At the time, I was working on a project of mine and was annoyed at how retarded programming UI in GameMaker was. I had lost a lot of time on making UI in past projects, so I decided it was time to make a simple asset. There were other assets though. These did look good, as in they had a few pretty buttons and some sliders, but they all still used pixel positions. That is still not very usable when you want to create scalable UI. You would have to do that all in scripts. A lot of people are neglecting UI for that exact reason. Their applications have crappy scalability or no scalability at all. Often you see people use a fixed pixel window size for their game. A lot of time having to make UI is one of the biggest reasons for this. It was time for change. So what is the basic idea? When starting on my asset, I thought about what I really wanted. A big thing is that this is still GameMaker, and we are still making games. I could make the prettiest UI that ever existed, but in a game, a creator would want their interface to have a certain look and feel to it. Thus, I wanted a steady framework. Working with pixels is easy to learn and do, but it's really a bad practice. So, different value types like density pixels, vectors were put into place. I also wanted to make sure that the end user was just able to resize the application window and the UI would scale with it without any problems. That's all really nice, but I still wanted the creator to have a lot of options in specifying where objects should go exactly. To reach all of this, I, and you also, need simple ways of structuring the entire UI. That's where the parent-child system comes in. You will learn everything about it in the tutorials. Alright, what did this all turn into? No, I'm not going to read this feature list aloud. You probably read it yourself already on the marketplace page. And if you didn't, then please do so after this video. But what I am going to say is that this asset is huge. Did you know there was a 50 megabyte limit for uploading assets? I didn't at the beginning. At the end, I even had problems fitting in everything in that limit. For that reason, the tutorials and manuals are hosted elsewhere, but there is a readme file in the product that contains all information needed on this matter. For the sake of it, let's just run along some of the features. There are over 50 default objects to place. A lot of features to structure your UI in ways you want. A few template applications and template objects. A complete window system, a visual designer, although it would be wrong for me not to mention here that this is not actually available on GameMaker Studio 2.0. It is on GameMaker 1.x, but because this designer edits your GameMaker project files itself, it doesn't work with the vastly different file layout that Studio 2 uses. There are a lot of tutorials available. The basic tutorial is also in video form, and I might do more later if that's requested enough. I spent an immense time in editing these videos though. This is done to make the tutorials flow more. Also, for expert users in programming and in GameMaker, there's also a little bit of a faster paced tutorial. And last but not least, a manual. Most functions that are of any use to you have a small description in the documentation, and there are also a lot of visuals inside of this documentation. What this is not. This is not world's most prettiest pre-made UI. Instead, it is the most customizable framework to create your own UI. As I said, we are making games, so not having something pre-baked is actually a key feature. This really is a framework. It's not really based off of anything else. So not based off of something like Android or Windows. Most features are implemented in a way that isn't based on anything else. Unfortunately, this is not for complete beginners. You cannot utilize this asset with drag and drop, and also not fully with just some copy and paste code. You will need some experience in using GML or programming in general. As I stated before, the size of this asset is extraordinary. There just isn't a way that there are no hidden bugs anywhere. I did all I could to test and fix any bugs, but as with any other computer program, bugs are inevitable. If you do encounter one, please report it to me. I will try to offer support. This asset uses instances which are known to be not that fast. However, they are still used as they give you and me something which I believe to be a nice way of programming. And in Gaming Studio 2.0, instances are handled a lot faster. Oh, and here's a little bonus. This is an example of how programming with uiZ would look and feel. To create this specific example would take hours without uiZ. With uiZ, it only took me a single minute. And that's where I would like to end my presentation. I hope you know what uiZ has to offer now. If there are any questions, feel free to leave them in the YouTube comment section. You can also ask me a question on the forums. Thank you for listening.